Your habits begin. Tyron Edwards once wrote, "Any act, often repeated, soon forms a habit, and habit allowed steadily gains in strength. At first it may be but as the spider's web, easily broken through, but if not resistant, soon binds us with chains of steel." You are extraordinary. You come into this world with more talent and abilities than you could ever use. You could not exhaust your full potential if you lived 100 lifetimes. Your amazing brain has 100 billion cells, each of which is connected to as many as 28,000 other neurons. The possible combinations and permutations of ideas, thoughts, and insights you can generate are equivalent to the number 1 followed by 8 pages of zeros. According to brain expert Tony Buzan, the number of thoughts you can think is greater than all the molecules in the known universe. This means that whatever you have accomplished in your life to this date is only a small fraction of what you are truly capable of achieving. The psychologist Abraham Maslow once wrote, "The story of the human race is the story of men and women selling themselves short." The average person settles for far less than she is truly capable of achieving. Compared with what you could do, everything you have accomplished so far is only a small part of what is truly possible for you. The challenge is that you come into the world with the most incredible brain, surrounded by unlimited possibilities for success, happiness, and achievement, but you start off with no instruction manual. As a result, you have to figure it all out for yourself. Most people never do. They go through life doing the very best they can, but they never come within shouting distance of doing, having, and being all that is possible for them. I started off in life with few advantages. My father was not always employed, and my family never seemed to have any money. I began working and paying for my own clothes and expenses when I was 10 years old, doing odd jobs around the neighborhood. I hoed weeds, delivered newspapers, mowed lawns, and raked leaves. When I was old enough, I got a job washing dishes in the back of a small hotel. My biggest promotion at that time was moving to washing pots and pans. I left high school without graduating and worked as a laborer for several years. I worked in sawmills stacking lumber, and in the woods slashing brush with a chainsaw. I dug ditches and wells. I worked on farms and ranches. I worked in factories and on construction sites. For a time, I was a galley boy on a Norwegian freighter in the North Atlantic. I earned my living by the sweat of my brow. When I could no longer find work as a laborer, I got a job in straight commission sales, cold calling from door to door and office to office. For a long time, I was one sale away from homelessness. If I did not make a sale that day and get my commission immediately, so I could pay for my room at the boarding house, I would have been out on the street. This was not a great way to live. The key to success. Then one day I began asking the question, why are some people more successful than others? Especially, why are some salespeople more successful than others? Looking for an answer to that one question, I did something that changed my life and began the formation of a habit that profoundly affected my future. I went and asked the most successful salesman in my company what he was doing differently from me. And he told me. And I did what he told me to do, and my sales went up. In the Bible it says, "Ask, and ye shall receive." I soon developed the habit of asking everyone in every way possible for the answers I needed to move ahead more rapidly. I began to read books on selling and put into action what I had learned. I listened to audio programs while I walked and eventually as I drove around. I attended every sales seminar I could find. I continually asked other successful salespeople for advice. And I developed the habit of immediately acting on any advice or good idea I received or learned. As a result, and not surprisingly, my sales went up, and eventually I surpassed everyone else in my company. Soon, my company made me a sales manager and asked me to recruit and teach other people the same skills that had enabled me to be so successful. Soon, I was recruiting salespeople with newspaper ads, teaching them the sales methods and techniques I had learned, and sending them out to call on prospects and customers. In no time at all, my students began making sales and moving upward and onward in their own lives. Many of those young salespeople are millionaires today. The iron law of the universe. What I learned from this experience was the great law of cause and effect. This is the foundational principle of Western philosophy and modern thought. It says that for every cause there is an effect. Everything happens for a reason. Nothing happens by accident. This law says that even if you do not know the reason something happens, there is still an explanation for it. Here is one of the most important principles of success. If you do what other successful people, you will eventually get the same results that they do. And if you don't, you won't. Nature is neutral. Nature does not favor one person over another. The Bible says, God sendeth rain to fall on the just and on the unjust. When you do the things that other successful people do, over and over again, you will eventually get the same results. It's not a matter of luck or chance or accident. It's a matter of law. This was an extraordinary idea for me. Even today, I am awed by the immensity and power of this simple principle. If you want to be happy, healthy, prosperous, popular, positive, and confident, just find out how other people who are enjoying these benefits got that way and do the same things they do. Think the same thoughts, feel the same feelings, take the same actions. And as sure as 2 plus 2 makes 4, you will eventually get the same results. It's no miracle. You can learn anything. Over the years, I've worked in a variety of businesses and industries. I've traveled in 120 countries, learned different languages, and developed various skills. In my 30s, I completed high school and got a business degree from a leading university. In every job and in every situation, I started off by asking, what are the rules or principles for success in this area? I then read books, attended courses, and asked everyone I could find for their insights and ideas. When I became a sales manager, I read every book and article I could find on sales management and applied the ideas and principles I learned to building and directing a successful sales force. When I got into real estate development, I read dozens of books on the subject. Within a year, starting with no money and no contacts, I developed and built a $3 million shopping center and came out owning 25% of it. When I got into the importation and distribution of Japanese automobiles, I again read the books, spoke to the experts, and did my research to find out how to set up a network of dealerships. In the next 4 years, I established 65 dealerships and imported and sold more than $100 million worth of vehicles. Over the past 35 years in my work with more than 1,000 large corporations, my entire focus has been on discovering the reasons for sales, revenue, and profits in each business or industry, and then determining how those principles could be best used to achieve the results of the most successful companies. When people complimented me on my successes, I eagerly shared with them what I had learned. I told them they could learn anything they needed to learn to achieve any goal they set for themselves. All they had to do was find out the cause and effect relationship in any area of focus and then apply them to their own activities. If they did this, they would soon get the same results as other successful people in that field. Taking control of your life. But instead of taking this advice, most people would nod, smile, and agree, and then turn away and go about their day-to-day activities. They would start work at the last possible moment, waste much of the day in idle conversation with coworkers, checking email, social media, and personal business, leave work at the earliest possible time, and then spend their evenings socializing or watching television. In frustration, I began to study psychology and metaphysics. I eventually learned that there are a series of universal principles and timeless truths that explain much of human success and failure. These principles explain happiness and unhappiness, riches and poverty, health and ill health, and good and poor relationships. They explain why some people have wonderful lives and others do not. The first law that I discovered was the law of control. This law says that you feel happy to the degree to which you feel you are in control of your own life. You feel unhappy to the degree to which you feel you are not in control of your own life. Modern psychology calls this locus of control theory. Psychologists differentiate between an internal locus of control and an external one. Your locus of control is where you feel the control exists in each area of your life. This location determines your happiness or unhappiness more than any other factor. For example, if you feel that you are the primary creative force in your own life, that you make your own decisions, and that everything that happens to you is a result of yourself and your own behaviors, you have a solid internal locus of control. As a result, you will feel strong, confident, and happy. You will think with greater clarity and perform at higher levels than the average person. On the other hand, if you feel that your life is controlled by other factors or people, by your job, your boss, your childhood experiences, your bills, your health, your family, or anything else, you will have an external locus of control. You will feel like a victim. You will feel like a pawn in the hands of fate. You will soon develop what Dr. Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania calls learned helplessness. You will feel unable to change or improve your situation and will soon develop the habit of blaming others and making excuses for your problems. This type of thinking leads inevitably to anger, frustration, and failure. We'll talk more about this later in this chapter. The power of belief. The next law I discovered was the law of belief. This is the basic principle that underlies most religion, psychology, philosophy, and metaphysics. This law says, whatever you believe with conviction becomes your reality. In the New Testament, Jesus says, according to your faith, be it done unto you. In the Old Testament it says, for as he thinketh in his heart, his beliefs, so is he. Professor William James of Harvard wrote in 1895, believe that life is worth living, and your belief will help create the fact. The fact is you do not believe what you see, but rather you see what you already believe. Your deeply held beliefs distort your worldview and cause you to see things not the way they are, but the way you are. The worst of all beliefs are self-limiting beliefs. These are beliefs that you have developed throughout your life, usually false, that cause you to believe that you are limited in some way. Your negative beliefs soon become habitual ways of thinking. You may believe that you lack intelligence, creativity, personality, the ability to speak publicly, the ability to earn a high income, the ability to lose weight, or the ability to achieve your goals. As a result of your self-limiting beliefs, you continually sell yourself short. You give up easily in the pursuit of a goal, and even worse, you tell other people around you that you lack certain qualities or abilities. Your beliefs then become your realities. You are not what you think you are, as they say, but what you think you are. In developing million-dollar habits, one of the most important steps you can take is to challenge your self-limiting beliefs. You begin this process by imagining that you have no limitations at all. When you develop your mind to the point where you absolutely believe that you can do anything you put your mind to, you will find a way to make that belief a reality. As a result, your whole life will change. As we will discuss later, beliefs are the hardest things of all to change. But there's good news. All beliefs are learned, and anything that has been learned can be unlearned. You can develop the beliefs of courage, confidence, and unstoppable persistence that you need for great success by reprogramming your subconscious mind in a specific way. Your self-fulfilling prophecies. The next law I discovered was the law of expectations. This law says that whatever you expect with confidence becomes your own self-fulfilling prophecy. In other words, you do not necessarily get what you want, but rather what you expect. If you confidently expect something to happen, this expectation has a powerful effect on your attitude and your personality. The more confident your expectations, the more likely it is that you will do and say the things that are consistent with what you expect to happen. As a result, you will dramatically increase the probabilities that you will achieve exactly what you are hoping for. One of the wonderful things about expectations is that you can manufacture your own. You can get up each morning and say, I believe something wonderful is going to happen to me today. As you repeat this throughout the day, you create a force field of positive energy that surrounds you and affects the people with whom you come in contact. In some remarkable way, a series of wonderful things, both large and small, will happen to you throughout the day. Successful people expect in advance to be successful. Happy people expect to be happy. Popular people expect to be liked by others. They develop the habit of expecting that something good will happen in every situation. They expect to benefit from every occurrence, even temporary setbacks and failures. They expect the best of other people and always assume the best of intentions, and they are seldom disappointed. The flip side of positive expectations are the negative expectations many people have. Unhappy people expect to fail more often than they succeed. They expect that other people will hurt or disappoint them. They expect their ventures to do poorly. Instead of expecting the best, they expect the worst, and because this law is neutral, they are seldom disappointed. The flip side of positive expectations are the negative expectations that many people have. Unhappy people expect to fail more often than they succeed. They expect that other people will hurt or disappoint them. They expect their ventures to do poorly. Instead of expecting the best, they expect the worst, and because this law is neutral as well, they are seldom disappointed. One of the most important things you can do to ensure a happy, healthy, and prosperous life is to expect the very best from every person or situation, no matter how it may look at the moment. Develop the habit of positive expectations. You will be amazed at the effect this has on you and on the people around you. You are a living magnet. The next law I learned about was the law of attraction. This law says you are a living magnet. You invariably attract into your life the people, ideas, and circumstances that harmonize with your dominant thoughts, especially your dominant thoughts emotionalized. This law has been written about and taught for 5,000 years. It is one of the most important principles in explaining success and failure. The law of attraction says that your thoughts are activated by your emotions, either positive or negative, and they then create a force field of energy around you that attracts into your life, like iron filings to a magnet, exactly the people and circumstances that are in harmony with those thoughts. Like all these laws, the law of attraction is neutral. If you think positive thoughts, you attract positive people and circumstances. If you think negative thoughts, you attract negative people and circumstances. Successful, happy people continually think and talk about what they want to attract into their lives. Unsuccessful, unhappy people continually talk about the people and situations that cause them to feel angry and frustrated. One of the most important habits you can develop is the habit of keeping your mind full of exciting, positive, and emotional images of the exact things you want to see materialize in your life and in the world around you. This is one of the most difficult disciplines, but one that pays off in extraordinary ways. As within, so without. The summary law of the laws we have just discussed is the law of correspondence. This law says that your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. It is as though you live in a 360-degree mirror. Everywhere you look, you see yourself reflected back at you. People treat you the way you treat them. The way you think about your physical body will be reflected in your health habits and your appearance. The way you think about people and your relationships will be reflected back to you in the quality of your friendships and your family life. The way you think about success and prosperity will be reflected in the results you enjoy in your career and your material life. In every case, your outer world reflects back to you, like a mirror image, exactly what you are thinking in the deepest recesses of your mind. When you put the laws of cause and effect, control, belief, expectations, attraction, and correspondence together, you arrive at the great universal principles that explains your life and everything that happens to you. Here it is. You become what you think about most of the time. Just think. You become what you think about most of the time. What you think about, you bring about. You always move in the direction of your dominant thoughts. Everything in your outer world is controlled and determined by what you are thinking in your inner world. The good news is that there is only one thing in the universe over which you have complete control, and that is the content of your conscious mind. Only you can decide what you think about most of the time. And fortunately, this is all the control that you need to shape your life and determine your future. By taking complete control of your conscious thoughts, you can control the direction of your life. By taking control, you will feel happy, powerful, confident, and free. You will become unstoppable. So here's some action exercises. Look at your field today. Identify the 3 most important reasons some people are more successful than others. Take complete responsibility for your life and everything that happens to you. Refuse to make excuses or blame anyone for anything. Identify the self-limiting beliefs that might be holding you back. What if they weren't true at all? Expect the best of yourself and others. What would you do differently if you are absolutely guaranteed of success? Who have you attracted into your life with your dominant thoughts and emotions? How could you change this? Identify the changes you want to see in your life. What do you need to change in your inner world if you want to see these changes in your outer world? Determine the 3 most important habits of thought about yourself and others that you could develop to be happier and more successful in the future. Robert Collier once wrote, "You can do anything you think you can. This knowledge is literally the gift of the gods, for through it you can solve every human problem. It should make of you an incurable optimist. It is the open door to welfare."